In 2006, Quentin Tarantino was in development stages of making his latest film, Death Proof, a retro slasher film about a Hollywood stuntman who stalks and kills women in his car, making it look like accidental car collisions. Kurt Russell was cast in the lead role as stuntman Mike. During filming, Tarantino became fascinated with the relationship between Russell and his own stuntman, John Casino.
Kind of breed of stuntman, this breed of movie professional that almost doesn't exist anymore.
The two had worked with each other for years, but their appearances had changed, and this was going to be one of the last films they worked on together. It was at this time Tarantino began writing ideas for a film based on an aging Hollywood actor and his stuntman. The story follows faded Hollywood actor Rick Dalton and his best friend slash stuntman Cliff Booth. With Dalton's career on the rocks, he's advised to take roles in spaghetti westerns, much to his dismay.
Nobody likes spaghetti westerns.
Meanwhile, Booth struggles to find work amidst rumours he has murdered his wife.
The dude killed his wife. Killed his wife and got away with it.
That guy?
Being next door neighbours with Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate, and in close proximity of the Manson family, it's inevitable their paths will cross. Tarantino first created stuntman Cliff Booth, giving him a massive backstory. Next he created actor Rick Dalton, for whom Booth would stunt double. He then decided to set the film in 1969 and have them be next door neighbours with Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski. The first plot point he developed was the ending, moving backwards from there, this being the first time Tarantino had worked this way. On July 11th, 2017, it was announced that Quentin Tarantino's next film would be about the Manson murders. Harvey and Bob Weinstein would be involved, but it was not known whether the Weinstein Company would distribute the film. After the Harvey Weinstein sexual abuse allegations, Tarantino cut ties and sought a new distributor after having worked with Weinstein his entire career. Studios began bidding for the film, and Sony Pictures announced in November they would be distributing the film. Tarantino's demands included a $95 million budget, final cut privilege, 25% of first dollar gross, and the stipulation that the rights revert to him after 10 to 20 years. At this stage, Tom Cruise was in talks to play the supporting role of Cliff Booth, but the part would go to Brad Pitt. Leonardo DiCaprio signed on to play the leading role of Rick Dalton, taking a pay cut to collaborate with Tarantino again. DiCaprio and Pitt were each paid $10 million. In March 2018, Margot Robbie, who had expressed interest with working with Tarantino, signed to co-star as Sharon Tate. Burt Reynolds was cast as the role of George Spawn, but died before any of his scenes were shot. Bruce Dern was cast in his replacement. Tarantino's first mission was to turn modern-day 2018 California back into 1969 California without the use of CGI. The lettering signs on theatres and shops across Hollywood were changed to be historically accurate. For some of the driving scenes, Los Angeles freeways were shut down for hours in order to fill them with vintage cars. The producers had some initial difficulties convincing Hollywood Boulevard vendors to allow their premises to be fitted with period facades to better reflect the 1960s. However, after the production wrapped that section of the shoot, most of the same people asked if they could leave the facades in place, since they now much more preferred that period look. Quentin Tarantino was so determined to avoid the typical cliches of a 60s period piece that he even considered shooting the film in black and white. The Playboy Mansion scene was shot at the actual mansion. Tarantino was adamant about filming there, but it took a long time to obtain permission since the mansion had been sold to a private owner following Hugh Hefner's death. The party scene was shot outside as renovations were currently happening. The scenes involving the Tate Polanski house were not filmed at Cielo Drive, as the house was razed in 1994 and replaced with a mansion nearly 6 times the size. A replica of Spawn Ranch was created over a 3-month period. A wildlife fire had destroyed the original Spawn Ranch in 1970, but a similar ranch just a few miles away was used to film. Like Spawn Ranch, it was also used as a movie ranch at one time. Tarantino listened to 14 hours of original 1969 KHJ AM sound checks to help create the sound. The line, "You're Rick effing Dalton, don't you forget that," was improvised. Pitt was told the same thing when he was a budding actor in the early 90s.
You're Rick Dalton. Don't you forget it.
Donald Shorty Shea was a ranch hand employed by George Spawn. He had tried to warn Spawn about the dangerous nature of the Manson family. At some point he was jumped and then killed, with various body parts being buried around the ranch. One of the killers was Steve Clem Grogan, the hippie who knifes the tire and is confronted by Cliff. As he starts to change the tire, you can see a cowboy in a corral in the background. As Shorty was the only ranch hand, this would have been him in the shot. His body was not found until 1977, when Clem agreed to show the police where the remains could be found. The scene where Dalton forgets his lines during a spaghetti western shoot was suggested by Leonardo DiCaprio.
Go fetch her and tell her what?
Go fetch her and tell her.
DiCaprio suggested that Dalton forget his lines mid-scene and improvised his reaction. He also improvised the scene in the trailer afterwards.
Jesus Christ!
Bruce Lee's line about Cliff being pretty for a stuntman was suggested by Burt Reynolds during a script reading.
You know you're kind of pretty for a stuntman.
Tarantino said, had the line not been Burt's, it would never have made it to the film. Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt got along so well during the production that they confirmed at the film's Cannes premiere that they would love to team up again on another film.
You're a good friend, Cliff. I tried.
The character Flower Child, who is shown having cold feet on going through with the murders and who flees the scene in the 1959 Ford Galaxy, is based on Linda Kasabian, who became a witness for the prosecution in the murder trial of Tex Watson, Patricia Krenwinkel and Susan Atkins. In real life, Linda Kasabian was ordered by Tex Watson to wait in the car, during which she heard the murders inside the Tate residence take place and witnessed the murder of Wojciech Wachowski outside the house. Kasabian claimed she wanted to drive away but was too scared. In real life, Sharon Tate hated wearing shoes and would take any possible opportunity to not wear any in public places unless the situation absolutely called for it. Tate would even go as far as wearing rubber bands on her feet to give the illusion of wearing sandals while out eating at restaurants. The controversial fight scene between Bruce Lee and Cliff Booth is based on Bruce Lee's real-life on-set squabble with a stuntman named Gene LaBelle. LaBelle was trained in combat sports and at one time taught Ronda Rousey judo techniques, but in the early 60s he was working as a stuntman. The incident took place in 1966 while filming fight scenes for the Green Hornet. Allegedly, Lee was hated by stuntmen as he would actually hit them during filming. When LaBelle walked on set that day, he was instructed to put Lee in a headlock. Allegedly, after putting Lee in a headlock, Lee started making all of his over-exaggerated kung fu noises he became famous for. At that point, LaBelle picked Lee off his feet and Lee was unable to do anything but shout, "Put me down or I'll kill you."
Was beating the shit out of Bruce.
Tarantino also defended the infamous Muhammad Ali speech.
Bruce Lee was kind of an arrogant guy. I didn't just make a lot of that up. I heard him say things like that. He never said he could beat up Muhammad Ali. Yeah, he did.
On its release, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood grossed a worldwide total of $374 million. By some estimates, the film needed to gross over $250 million worldwide in order to break even, with others estimating it would need to make over $400 million to turn profit. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 85% based on 565 reviews. All in all, critics gave an overall positive review, with some calling it Tarantino's love letter to 1960s LA, praising its cast and setting, while others were divided on its ending. The film won several Golden Globe Awards for Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, Best Screenplay for Quentin Tarantino, and Best Supporting Actor for Brad Pitt. Excellent film, a modern day classic.